And look at the shir of Erev Yom Kippur. We were just explaining that this physical earth, which is the lowest level, has a unique possibility to create yesh me'ayin more than any of the higher worlds. So he continues and he says, based on what says in Sefer Gulam Perek Chof, which is Hu B'Likutei Amorim, was brought in Tanya, this light of Kav, of Ein Sof, first revealed itself by Atzilus Shebasiyah, in Atzilus of Asiyah, Umimena, and then the Bria v'Yetzira Shebasiyah to the Bria and Yetzira of Asiyah. In other words, Chochma of Asiyah would be Atzilus Shebasiyah, Bina and Midas of Asiyah would be Bria and Yetzira of Asiyah, Umehen, and only afterwards, Lebechinas Eira Nasham the Malchus Asiyah, it comes down to the what's called Asiyah Shebasiyah. Right? But by days and through this, the Malchus Asiyah. There is special power in the Kalim of Malchus Asiyah, which is Shabiyasei da Offer, which is in the element of earth, which is the lowest Madreg and therefore has the highest Sherish, and therefore Yesh Me'ayin, for all of these reasons, is manifest Dafka in the earth. Okay? Now again, the Kabbalah, we did enough Kabbalah. Right? We did enough Kabbalah. There's whatever number of points there are. Bottom line is there's a Yesh Me'ayin quality in the earth more than any place else. So now he says, V'hu, this, the creative power of Yesh Me'ayin, which is Dafka in the earth, is Mayim Etachi Oretz V'Gemer. It's what the Eibusha said when it says Tachi Oretz. Okay, everybody knows that the Eibusha spoke 10 utterances of creation. And one of them was Tachi Oretz, that the earth should produce grass. So what was the Teitzah of Tachi Ha'oretz Desha? That it produced grass? No. That it produced a Koyach HaTzemeach. That the offer acquired a possibility to produce Desha. The difference between saying the earth should produce grass and the earth was given a possibility to produce grass is how many grasses? Maybe just fill up the earth with grass. Okay, there's so many inches of space on the earth, you can have so many blades of grass. But if you say Tachi Oretz, that means the Eibush that infused into the Oretz, Sakeach HaTzemech, that's Sakeach Ein Sof. It's blikful. And when the Eibush spoke that, the earth acquired that possibility, and then it manifests, and then of course Adam Rishon was born, and then he davened, and it rained, and so forth. Okay, Li is pale, but that it should always function on this earth, the idea of Yesh Me'ayin. So when I see it, there's another aspect. It's not just Yesh Me'ayin happened when the Eibush created the world, and then the process is Ein Mein Amor through Malchus. But Yesh Me'ayin is happening. Okay? B'Bchinas Ein Sof, and the ability to create Yesh Me'ayin is endless. V'lei bilvad b'sheishet me'breishis, and it's not simply like it was in the 6 days of creation. Or Kamayim Yishetzu Hamayim. The Eibush said water should produce fish. Guess what? Water's not producing fish anymore. It just happened once. The earth should produce animals. Guess what? The earth is no longer producing animals. Okay, because that was during the 7 original of creation. That hey, there was a special revelation of for the undeserved chesed, which was believe Allah's mayin nukvin klal without any status from us to create the yesh me'ayin of fish from water, and animals from the land, and birds from a combination, like Rashi says in Chumash. But from that point forward, there's no more yesh me'ayin in water. There's no more yesh me'ayin to produce animals in the earth. There's no more yesh me'ayin to produce birds from a combination of land and sea. But there's yesh me'ayin for tzmich. And there's yesh me'ayin in every aretz, in a rechem, in a nukfa of a human being, an animal, and a plant, and the earth, are creating yesh me'ayin now as well. And this yesh me'ayin is constant. In other words, this is the difference between the keich of yesh me'ayin and malchus of atzilus and yesh me'ayin and asiyah, because yesh me'ayin and asiyah is constant. La'atzmiach asaba me'lav mu'peres, to produce grass and trees and fruit. Me'ayin le'yesh tomet, we're not existential state into an independently existential state. Midei shana b'shana, every year. Shu me'ein b'chinas ein sof, which is similar to the idea of ein sof. Why is the idea of ein sof? Very simple. She'im, because if it were true that yeskayim elam hazari b'riv v'es shanim, the earth would last for myriads and myriads. In other words, the earth would live forever. And there's a Rambam who writes that al pi seichel, it's oisgehalten, that davish yesh le tchila should be ein le techla. The Rambam writes that al pi seichel, it's possible someone has a beginning and not have an end. Other chakram disagree, but they held the Rambam. If the earth would live forever, it would produce infinite fruit. It would never exhaust itself, because the Keach HaTzmich is not a Gashmizdika thing, it's a Ruchnizdika thing. It's an Ayin and not a Yesh. Yatzmichum with a Shana v'Shana, but continue growing. Okay, so the Chiddush of the Shir Hasis of Ches and Tes is that Yesh Mayin is not something that happened, but when it comes to Offer Agashmi, Yesh Mayin is something which is happening. And then he adds, Ella, however, that there's two types of plants. So I told you before. Sheyesh Mehem, there's one kind of plant, it's Aideha Lo Asman, you plant a seed. Right? Vehemazruim, Varetuim, which are the seeds that you plant to produce grains and legumes. And the two means the trees that you plant. You take a stick, you put it in the ground, it should produce another tree. So that's not mamish yesh meyayin, because you're taking a seed. The seed is helping produce the next crop. Says the Rebbe, v'afal pekein still heim kimo yesh meyayin. It's similar to yesh meyayin. It's not from nothing, it's from a seed. And the teretz is, first of all, sha'agar and atua, the seed which you plant, in the erech klal lagabi apri. You can't compare that to the fruit which actually grows. And moreover, v'gam neged kol ha'ilon im hanafim v'alim, when you add how one seed is producing a tree and branches and leaves and so forth, it's clearly shalei be'erech. So even though you started off with a seed, what comes from that seed can be called, for all intents and purposes, something out of nothing. The same is true with grains and with vegetables. Which means grains. That to produce hundreds of seeds from one seed, who kamei yesh meyayin, it's like yesh meyayin. And for sure, Hakash and Vashibalam, the stalks and the husks. V'hine. But you have Yas Kiddush Ches, where the Alter Rebbe also talks about agriculture. Yas Kiddush Ches, and over there he brings out the Ein Areich of trees and seeds. From one seed of wheat, you get 100 seeds of wheat. From one seed of a peach tree, you can have thousands and thousands and thousands of fruit. It's a much bigger yesh man, it's a much bigger chiddush, it's a longer process, it's a higher inyan. But the Alter Rebbe here doesn't go into those pratim, although he mentions them separately. The bottom line is, even though you're planting a seed, there's ke'en yesh meyayin. Shai, I promise you I'm going to let you speak in 1 more minute. We all understand that when you have a fruit through planting a seed, and he has Riyavanatia, which is planting a seed or planting a branch. So we all agree, we're not going to be stupid and deny this, that hey, are certainly more preferred than something which grows without being planted. What grows without being planted is weeds, it's junk, it's milkweed, whatever it is, but it's not very, very edible. Okay? But you should know, even though this is better than this, there is an inyan of something growing without being planted. And those things which grow without being planted is mamish yesh meyayin. And even those things that grow that are being planted, the Alter Rebbe calls it, what's the lashon inside? Kema yesh meyayin. It's more or less yesh meyayin. Okay? And then the Alter Rebbe adds, umizeh, what's the nimshal? Real yesh meyayin is when you don't plant. Kema yesh meyayin when you do plant. But when you plant, it's better. What's the nimshal? The nimshal is, you want to get something good from God, give. Ukemei nuvahaltich. Umizeh naskil. This will explain to us the idea of Amshachas Eretz Leinim Babya, bringing down higher lights into the world. Shu tachlas b'riyas ha'adam, which is the purpose of the creation of a person. That means to say that when a person does something to bring a lakus down into this world, what he gets back is much more than if it happens by itself. So the Alter Rebbe is not worrying about the yesh miyayin and the k'moy yesh miyayin. He's saying punkt verkehrt. A fruit which you planted is better because you worked. A nitzitz which came out to avoid it is better than when something comes out by itself. But the Alter Rebbe is making the case that in offer, yesh miyayin is not something that was. In offer, yesh miyayin is something that is. Harav Yishaya, go ahead.